Hey Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today to share with you this large photo layout created with the PinkFresh Studio Happy Heart collection. So you can see I have printed my photo. It's 9 by 12 but printed on a 12 by 12 piece of paper. I custom print at home on my large format printer. I'm going to trim that down so that it is 11 by, well, it ends up being 11 by 11. And then I'm going to mat that with this piece of 12 by 12 paper. I'm going to gut it because I want to have the option of using the butterflies to fussy cut from the inside. So lately my new thing has been buying the 6 by 6 paper pads and then selectively choosing the 12 by 12 papers that are either going to serve as a light border and or background, and or if they have fussy cutting elements. So I chose this paper because of the fussy cuttable butterflies on the other side. And then the other paper that I chose was the one with the circles. And you will see that I have fussy cut a bunch of those circles out already, knowing that I'm going to scatter them throughout my layout. I actually did fussy cut intentionally some of the ones that were on the border, like that blue at the top left there. Again, knowing that I wanted to go off the page. One of the design principles that I love about when you go off the page is you actually enlarge your canvas because the brain visually completes that element. And so you have perceptually a larger canvas than what you actually have. So I also picked up the chipboard frames, as you can see there, as well as the stickers that are on the left hand side there. I want to create a sequin shaker. So you can see the sequins that are down below. Those are Spiegel Mom scraps, but there are other sequence mixes that you can make on your own available in the store. And so I am going to use one of my circle dies. You can use any metal die. This just so happens to be Newton's Nook, and a lighter cardstock because I want you to be able to see the color of the sequins on that cardstock, but I wanted a little bit of texture behind it. And so now I'm going to use some, this I believe is 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'm just ripping it. You're able to rip the back of the tape and that going around the circle with that. If you didn't feel comfortable with that, you could absolutely use your scissors to just notch down into probably 2/3 of the tape and then go around the corner with that. So a super simple shaker pocket. I'm just going to put the sequins on top of the tool, and I just have a small enough square that I can fold over the edges tightly, and these tool will then hold the sequence into the shaker. So you don't need to mess with double-sided foam and cutting it and all of that fun nonsense. So a simple way of creating a shaker. So I highly recommend that if you are looking for an interactive element for your pages there. So I want a few more circles. This is not enough circles, and so I'm going to find ways to incorporate the chipboard frames, some more of these patterned papers, and those squares. I will use a few of those and cut those out with circle punches and just get a few more round elements onto the page there. So super simple layout. Again, if you saw what I had on the blog last, the Cherry on Top blog, or my previous Cherry on Top video, there's a lot you can do with 6 by 6 paper pads and not have to break the bank in buying all of the things. It's taken me, I will tell you, a long time to figure this out. So I get a little stuck here with all of these larger circles. I want a gradation in sizes, but I got stuck. And so sometimes we get in this rut of knowing the look that we want, but we're not quite sure how to accomplish that. And that is where I am in this process. So I keep just cutting things because I think eventually I'll find a format, a layout that is appealing to me. I cut that yellow circle knowing that I needed the yellow because the yellow is a much brighter pop of color. than all of the other colors here. These colors are fairly pastel-y and fairly muted, but the yellow is a brighter shade. And so I knew I needed more yellow on the page to create a visual triangle to get some contrast within that layout. My son's sweatshirt is dark. I believe it's navy blue in real life. And so I needed the contrast between those softer, more pastel-y colors and that dark, dark, dark sweatshirt. And he is very, very wide in the shoulders. And much taller than I am, as you can see here. And so I needed to either cover that up or provide a brighter contrast, and that's what the yellow does. So I have finally found a solution to how I think I'm going to make this work. And so you can see, have a lot more circles there. I need to fill that white space at the bottom. I want elements that are going to go off the edge of the page. And then I want that gradation of circles there. So I'm committing to the pieces that I'm committing to, I'm going to go ahead and adhere down. And so you can see how it's starting to come together, and the circles really provide a nice contrast to our dark sunglasses that we are wearing, as well as contrast to the hues of black, gray, and white that are in the photo there. So here we go. We've got an organization going on here. I just need to find some circles for the middle there to close up that gap. I do want some white space. I do not need to fill it all, but I definitely don't want that gap there. So even though you have that visual triangle that moves through the page that connects all three of those clusters, I actually want to somewhat close down the gap between the bottom clusters that are there. I'm going to use something else that's going to create that visual triangle. So that is one of the chipboard frames, and I have simply backed that with just one of the cardstocks in the 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to do the same with that smaller pink. Literally, those are stickers, the chipboard frames, and so I literally just cut them down and then use my scissors to trim out the outside edge there. So that butterfly in the top left is going to be what I use to create my visual triangle. As I'm creating the page here, you will only see two butterflies, but I do go in and fussy cut a third butterfly from the pattern paper in the 6x6, not the 12x12. And so I do have a smaller butterfly there that closes that out. This is one of the stickers that it says nothing but smiles, and I like that it adds the peach color that is in the butterflies. And so I've popped that up. By popping up some of the elements, I'm also working at the same depth as the chipboard frames, and so the chipboard frames don't stand out by themselves. It kind of adds a little bit more dimension to the page there. So you can see I have a greater variety of sizes of circles there, and that creates a more cohesive look to the whole layout there. So that particular piece there, it is actually a circle that is within a square, and it says, "You are my sunshine." I thought that would fit nicely in the circle, but it didn't fit. You weren't going to be able to see the whole frame around it, and so I thought, oh well, I'll just cut that out with a circle cutter, and that's what I am going to do once I get this secured here. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but when I was making the sequin shaker, I actually initially thought, my initial plan was that I was going to use the chipboard frames to make sequins shakers, but that was going to involve a little bit more figuring out how it was going to involve acetate and be much more complicated, and I didn't want that. I actually really like the softer look of the vellum too. So when I used my 1-inch circle, I wasn't going to get all of that. There wasn't enough paper that I was going to be able to get a full circle in that. So it is going at the bottom of the page, which is fine because I now have 3 elements that go off the edge of the page, and again creates a bit of a visual triangle, and it encompasses it. I still maintain the square perception of those elements that are going off the page. So I want to use a few more of these stickers. I also have that white space at the very bottom where that poor old circle is sitting there, that pink one by itself. And so something needs to go there to not make that look like just this random lonely element that's sitting there and tie it into the whole page. Again, I'm looking for cohesiveness. I like that brighter green too, kind of just pops the layout. So I am going to do title work, but I'm going to do that off camera because I was really stumped. I did not order the alpha that comes with this collection, but I have a bazillion thickers in my collection. I also knew that I wanted to use that hot pink somewhere. So that little chipboard sticker, it's a little butterfly up the top there, is a very different shade of pink, and I wanted to incorporate a little bit more of the hot pink into the layout, and so I'm going to do that via some Vicky Bouton thickers. They are from the Kaleidoscope collection. They are available in the store. They're actually on sale. Or they were at the time that I voiced this over. I cannot guarantee you that they are there now. But that is how I'm going to get that extra pop of color in there. And so that it's going to say cheese is the title, because you can kind of see me saying cheese, and then I will journal in a few of those circles, and that, my friends, is going to wrap up my layout. So enjoy the close-ups. If you have any questions about any of the product or how I made that tool shaker, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you are doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.